What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in Dallas Cowboys fans. As today we're going to be taking a look at our 2026 7 round Dallas Cowboys mock draft. And I'll be quite honest with you. I really don't think that the Cowboys were that far off from competing this year. They won a couple games against some teams that were, awesome. They beat, well, I shouldn't say awesome, I guess. At the time that they beat them, they were good. And talking about, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were kind of, in like a really, really good spot there for a while. But then, of course, the wheels fell off. They lost to a couple teams that they probably shouldn't have. And then they wound up very mediocre at the end of the season. But the offense was really, really good. I think this is the first time that in quite some time or in NFL history that a team had a 4,000-yard passer, two 1,000-yard wide receivers, and a 1,000-yard running back and missed the playoffs. So the defense is really the area that I'm going to be driving home in today's mock draft here. I think the pass rush definitely needs to be massively upgraded in some way, shape, or form. The linebackers need to be upgraded. I think safety is a huge need for the Dallas Cowboys as well. And then, of course, corner is a big need. Wide receiver, I'm not so inclined to add early in this mock draft, only because I do think worst case scenario, George Pickens gets tagged. And then if he decides not to play, then he will get traded. So I'm thinking that, there's a way that Pickens stays in Dallas for at least one more year. But the Dallas Cowboys have a very weird amount of picks. So they have 7 picks, right? They have 8 picks. They have 12 and 20. They have 2 first-rounders, but then they don't have a single pick until 112. So we're going to try and fix that. There's going to be a lot of finagling in this. There's going to be a lot of holes that need to be, filled, especially on the defensive side. This is going to be unless a prospect absolutely blows us away at a spot that he probably shouldn't be. All right, so we're sitting here at number 12, and I have a pretty tough decision to make here because there's a few different ways that we can go with this pick. So Keldrick Falk is a player that I like quite a bit, and I think that he fits for the Dallas Cowboys very well at this point. He's not going to be your big-time pass rusher in terms of a guy that's going to get, 12 to 15 sacks a season, but he's going to be a very, very complete edge rusher. I don't really know if he completely moves the needle here for me at number 12. Mansour Delaney is a player that I think would be an amazing addition at a serious position of need for the Dallas Cowboys here. I'm going to hold off on that. I feel like I have to take Sonny Styles at this point. It's well documented that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys love their linebackers and they don't mind drafting them early. And this is a spot that I really think where Sonny Styles is a true outlier because he's just so incredibly well-rounded as a run defender, as a tackler, as a coverage guy, 6'4", 243 pounds. He's a former safety as well. This is a otherworldly athlete, people. I don't really think people just look at the positional designation and say, I can't believe you're going to take a linebacker at number 12. But no, I'm taking Sonny Styles at number 12. This guy is a player that truly can be deployed all over the defense for the Dallas Cowboys. And for a defense that needs so much, you need to take the best player available on the defensive side. And for now, that is Sonny Styles, and that's going to be the pick that we make. So I was considering a trade down here. The Vikings, we could probably get 82 and 97 for them to move up 6 spots, but I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to pass. I feel like I love trading down, don't get me wrong, and I think this is necessary. Maybe we'll look to trade down at number 20, but this is just too good of a player to pass up here at number 12. And just to get 2 other picks, I don't really think it's necessary. Let's get the best player available on the board, and that is going to be Sonny Styles, someone that really could be the cornerstone of this defense going forward for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. First thing I'm going to do here at 20, this is really our last money pick. So we really have to see if we can trade down here at number 20 to acquire some. The Bears at number 25 could be the way that we can move down a little bit more. All right, so this might sound crazy too. I'm a little bit more inclined to trade out of the first round so we could acquire more picks. If we go to the Ravens here, let's see what the Ravens have to offer. We could realistically probably get 45, 80, and then like a third round pick, a second or a third round pick next year just to move down 25 spots. I know it's kind of crazy, and I know Cowboys fans are probably going to scream at me for doing something like that, and that's fine. The Falcons are at 48 too. They don't really have too much. So it would either be the Bears or the Ravens. Let's just take a look at the board before we make any rash decisions like that. Let's take a look at all of basically everything we need. Let's take a look at the edge rushers here. TJ Parker, our Mason Thomas. These are really, really good players. I'm not really like TJ Parker is kind of in the same boat for me as Keldrick Falk, where I think he kind of moves the needle a little bit more for me, and he's a very, very well rounded player. Our Mason Thomas is kind of that true pass rush oriented type of player. Gabe Yakas is an insane player, and Akeem Mesidor is someone that we probably could get if we do trade out of the first round. So I'm really more inclined if the Bears want to give up 57 to move up 5 spots, I would do it. Yeah, I didn't really think that there was going to be a chance. We could get 89, we could probably get 129 and then maybe a later pick as well. I just don't think that's enough, truly. And really the players that are on the board, I'm kind of okay with trading out of the first round to be quite honest with you because we can get some really strong players in the second round. We can probably get one of these 5 safeties right here that would make an instant impact. Let's take a look at the corners. I'm probably targeting either Keith Abney or Brandon Cisse. He's probably not going to be there. Colton Hood would make a lot of sense here too, but I think I am going to trade out of the first round here. And I'm going to see what the Baltimore Ravens are willing to go up. So obviously, the first things first, 45 and 80 would be imperative to us, getting that pick here. And I really want to I want to make this worthwhile for the most part long term. So if we can get something along these lines here, maybe we can get a second rounder next year to recoup one of those picks that the Cowboys traded. Did they trade a second? No, they traded a first for Quinn Williams as well. They traded a first next year and a second this year. That's what it was. Okay, so if we could get a little bit more next year too, I feel like I really like this. Can we squeeze a first rounder out of here? No, I figured not. But I think this would be really good if they accept this. I feel like this is some really good value here at this point. We're getting more picks. Let's see if it goes through. And it does. And I honestly think that that's a really solid trade down. Yeah, we're moving down 25 spots, but I'm not going to pick someone just to pick someone at this point. We're acquiring more 2027 draft capital, and that is a super strong draft class. So I'm kind of okay with the way that this has kind of played out so far. And Akeem Mesidor is on the board. And that's exactly, I'm really, really happy that that's how that worked out because that's the player I'm going to go with here. So we've already made an insane addition to Sonny Styles here at pick number 12. And Akeem Mesidor is on the board. And that's who we're going to take. 6'4", 280 pounds. Yeah, he's going to be a little older by the time the NFL draft, by the time that the NFL season rolls around. He's going to be about 25 years old around there. I get it. I really do. But he is a complete game wrecker. He had an unbelievable season for Miami. He's actually really been pretty productive everywhere that he goes in college football. So people might say, oh, he's just a product of Reuben Bain Jr. And obviously having Reuben Bain Jr. on the other side of your defensive line absolutely helps. But Mesidor is a game wrecker in his own right. He's an extremely solid run defender. He's incredibly disruptive as a pass rusher. And I believe he had something along the lines of 13 or 14 sacks this year. So the production is certainly there. And Mesidor is a plug and play player. No doubt about it. And Mesidor is going to be the pick at number 45. I cannot believe that actually worked out in our favor for the most part. Some fans might not like the fact that he's going to be about 25 years old, but I mean, it is what it is. You can't argue with the production and the overall size. Going to have extremely long arms as well. So that's something that I'm looking at too, projecting to the NFL level. All right, so we're sitting at 80 now. We're in good shape. We got Sonny Styles. We got Akeem Mesidor with our first 2 picks. Now we're sitting here at number 80. I have to add someone to the secondary. Let's see who's available at the safety position. All right, Genesis Smith, Zakee Wheatley. These are some really strong players. Let's see what corners are available. There's a player that I have in mind, and he is here, and that's going to be Julian Neal. And I'm really excited that Julian Neal is here because very quietly over his career at Arkansas, he's been an incredible player for them. He's SEC battle tested. He's 6'2", 208 pounds. I mean, he had a really, really solid year for Arkansas. I mean, look at his total career in general in terms of grades. He's just an extremely solid player all the way around. He's going to be a little bit more versed in zone coverage, but he's a player that absolutely is fine in man coverage as well. So, and he's a very solid tackler in his own right as well. So that's another thing too. I mean, a huge corner for the most part, 6'2", 208 pounds. That's a massive corner on the outside. And I really do think it is, imperative that we add a boundary corner at this point, because you're going to have Savon Revel probably playing one side. You're going to have Deron Bland probably playing the nickel. And then you really do need another. Kalen Carson is okay, but he's a player that I think could definitely be improved upon. And Julian Neal is just such a safe bet for me. Battle tested, is defensive scheme versatile as well. I think he's a really strong player that a lot of people don't give credit to, but that's what we're going to take here at number 80. So we're going to take Savon Revel. No, that's who we took last year. We're going to take Julian Neal here at number 80. And I'm really loving the way that this mock draft has been rolling out so far. Sonny Styles, Akeem Mesidor, Julian Neal. I'm really not content either. I want to continue to add to the other side of the ball. Now, one thing I will say about the offensive side of the ball here, I would like to add a running back at some point, because I do think that even if Javonte Williams is re-signed, I think just due to the injury history, I know you have Jaden Blue. He actually did perform fairly well in the last game of the season, his first start as a rookie. I maybe will add a running back later. I'd love to add some interior offensive line depth, and I'd love to add to the wide receiver room as well. Jalen Tolbert, Ryan Flournoy, Kavontae Turpin. I have no idea Kavontae Turpin is going to be like 30 years old too. That's kind of crazy. So if we could add someone maybe a little bit later, but for right now, I'm still very content with adding to the defensive side of the football. Can we do a trade down here? That's not really worth it. Not really worth moving down 2 spots to pick up a late 7th rounder here. I would just like to add a little something. It's not necessary, to be honest with you. I just like to look. So, all right, we're going to stick and pick depending on who's on the board. I'd love to add a safety at this point. Michael Taft is a heck of a player. Bray Hubbard has gone back to school. Taft is an interesting player. That is someone that we probably could go after here at this point. I do like this quite a bit, actually. He's an extremely solid player, great tackler, really, really good coverage player. He's not going to light it up in terms of being a true, run defense player. He reminds me of Jeff Heath in a lot of ways, maybe a better version of Jeff Heath, to be honest with you. But yeah, he's a really solid coverage player, has been a solid coverage player for a really long time. Great tackler for the safety position as well. I think this is going to be the move that we're going to make. We just got to keep adding talented bodies to this room, to the secondary itself. And adding someone like Taft is a really strong move. I like Bishop Fitzgerald a lot, but he gives up way too much in coverage for my liking. Bud Clark is another player I like quite a bit. He also is just a little too wiry for me. Michael Taft is a hard-nosed, no-nonsense safety, and I really like his coverage ability. That's what we're going to take. So we have made 4 picks, and we have taken 4 defensive players so far. Sonny Styles, Akeem Mesidor, Julian Neal, and Michael Taft so far. Maybe at number 150, we'll look to add potentially a running back, maybe even I'll tell you what, Nadami Tucker really, really interests me quite a bit as a more of a true pass rush down edge rusher. I think that might be the move that I'm willing to take. So we have 160, we have 177. I think I'm going to reserve these 2 picks for maybe another running back, maybe an offensive lineman. That might be the move as well. Let's take a look at what we have here on the interior, the offensive line. Jaden Roberts, not bad. I'm really looking for more of a tackle that could play guard and potentially kick out at some point in case of an injury. Cage Casey is the player that I'm probably going to be targeting at that point, and I think we could hold off until about 160 to take him. So I'm going to continue to add to the defensive side, and I'm going to add Nadami Tucker here. I mean, this is a player that kind of came out of nowhere. So he started his career at Houston, 6'3", 250 pounds. He's someone that never really got too much playing time at Houston, and then he went to Western Michigan, and he absolutely lit the world on fire. 14 and a half sacks, 21 tackles for a loss, and he was really a huge reason why the Broncos made it and won the MAC Conference Championship game. And I think this is a really exciting player to add. More of a project type of edge rusher here, and let's not forget, rest in peace, but the Dallas Cowboys are familiar with drafting from Western Michigan, of course, Marshawn Nealon was a player that they liked quite a bit, and he was really, really coming into his own, unfortunately, before tragedy struck, of course. But Nadami Tucker is a really strong player, really, really like I, I would love to see him in obvious pass rushing scenarios, 6'3", 250, just incredible speed off the edge. This is the player that we're going to take. I think I've done my selling at this point. So we're going to take Nadami Tucker here. Just keep adding to the edge rushers, keep adding to the secondary. I think at this point, I'm probably going to add Cage Casey. I would really like a versatile offensive lineman that can play on the left side. He can kick inside to play guard because, there's just a lot of injury concerns on the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. And I really think having a player as skilled and as experienced as Casey would be really, really wise. At 160, you're getting a player that could easily be your swing tackle. He could play either the right tackle or the left tackle, or even reduce to the inside with injury. So Cage Casey is going to be the player that I am going to take here at number 160. Yeah, I know. We finally have added a offensive player, and it might not be anything too crazy, but I like what Cage Casey offers the Dallas Cowboys in terms of overall versatility. So at 177, I'll probably look to add a wide receiver here. We're good on tight end. We don't really have to do anything there. Wide receiver, let's take a look what we have. Dane Key, Caleb Douglas. Caleb Douglas is an exciting player. So is Noah Thomas. You know, let's take a look at what we have here. Dazon Stribling is a really exciting player for me as well. 6'2", 210 pounds, someone that you can kind of put all over the place. I'm really looking for, because Jalen Tolbert has been a very solid wide receiver 3 or 4 in his career. Ryan Flournoy actually had a really, really strong season this year as a sixth round pick as well in his sophomore season. Really kind of broke into his own whenever he had to play in, when he had to play significant snaps in place of CeeDee Lamb. He actually produced very, very well, in my opinion. So I think there's something there as well, but I would love to add just another wide receiver. Caleb Douglas really does interest me quite a bit, but can we wait? Can we wait to add a wide receiver? I really like Dazon Stribling. I think that he's going to be a player that kind of gets overlooked for the most part, and he's going to hit the 5th or 6th round. And he's going to get drafted, and people are going to go, how the hell did this guy get to this point? But yeah, just super strong hands, just a really strong player overall. Back-to-back 800-yard seasons for Ole Miss. Really strong player. This is going to be the player that I'm going to take at this point. I think adding a wide receiver is necessary. And at this point here, I think this is a really good spot to take him. So we're going to take Dazon Stribling here at 177. Moving on, we have 215, 221, and 225. So I'd like to continue to add to the defense with those picks. And I would also like to add a running back at some point. So we're going to check and see what the running back looks like at this point here. Let's take a look at who's on the board. Jam Miller, Jamal Haynes went back to school. CJ Down, I'm not really too excited about the players that are here. Maybe we don't have to add a running back. We probably do at some point. I don't think it's the number one need, though. I really truly think that Javonte Williams is probably going to be back. Yeah, maybe we could wait a little bit. I'm looking to probably add someone like Kentrell Bullock is a player that I kind of like quite a bit. Actually, we could add him here for the most part. This is a really solid player here at the back end of the 6th round. 5'11", 205 pounds, coming off of a 1,000-yard season for the South Alabama Jaguars here. A player that I like quite a bit. He's really that no-nonsense in between the tackles, kind of like, no pun intended, bullish type of runner. He's someone that's going, he's going to leave a mark when he hits you. You're going to know that you just tackled Kentrell Bullock. And he's a player that I like quite a bit. And it actually comes with a decent amount of speed. This is going to be your long-term project, your running back 3 for the most part. But we're going to continue to add to a strength here. Well, I shouldn't say strength, but I mean, Javonte Williams had a heck of a season, easily the best of his career. And I do think Dallas would be wise to pay him at this point. But we're going to add a little bit of an insurance policy here, especially with Jaden Blue, because Jaden Blue is the smaller type of running back. And if they go with him going forward, then you get that speedier kind of outside the tackle runner. And then you'll have Kentrell Bullock, who could run in between the tackles, that goal line type of back. So we'll take him here at 215. And we have our last 2 picks here at 221 and 225. We are going to look to continue to add to the defensive side of the football here. Let's take a look. Maybe we'll add another safety. Oh, VJ Payne is here, and VJ Payne is a very interesting player as well. A player that I like quite a bit. Again, one of those kind of hybrid type of safety, 6'3", 208 pounds, had a very strong season, very strong coverage safety as well. really not going to be too great as a run defender. And I know that's probably something that we need at this point. But VJ Payne comes with the size. He comes with the had a bad year last year, but the year prior, 2023 was a very 2023, yeah, 2023 was a very strong season for him as well. So Payne is a player that I like quite a bit. A little bit of a disappointing season for Kansas State overall, but Payne is a player that I like as a rotational safety piece that can come down and play in the box as well. Like he's a great tackler for the safety position as well. So that's something that I like quite a bit out of him. A really, really solid player that could play hybrid linebacker potentially at the NFL level. And then at 225 here, we're going to look probably at add. I'll probably look to add maybe a defensive tackle just to have a nice rotational piece. Grayson Halton is a heck of a player. Brendan Cleveland is really a strong run stuffing defensive tackle. That might be the way that we go here. Cameron Ball is very interesting. Chris McClellan is kind of a very, very well-rounded defensive tackle. And I know that defensive tackle is obviously a strength. Let's take a look at what the corners are like on the board, just in case that we want to, add to the secondary even more. Jerry Wilson, Traden Stukes is a player that I like quite a bit. Jair Hill is here. That might be the route that we go. Devin Moore went back to school. He is unbelievable. Charles Demings actually is the player that I might go with here. A FCS product, but he is an absolute baller. I did make a video a good while ago, maybe about 6 weeks ago, about my top 10 FCS prospects in the 2026 draft. And Charles Demings, I think, was my number 6 or number 7 player. And yeah, he's a player that I like quite a bit. Little wiry for the outside. He's going to be 6'1", 185 pounds, but great ball skills and great man coverage abilities. Honestly, as a project corner, I think this would make a lot of sense at this point. This is where you're trying to, for lack of a better term, you're trying to find diamonds in the rough here at this point in the draft. And at 225, if Charles Demings is on the board, FCS players are ballers too, and he's an absolute baller. And I think that this would be a very wise decision long term. Another corner that you could develop. And that's going to be the last pick of our 7-round Dallas Cowboys mock draft. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There is our 7-round Dallas Cowboys mock draft. Let's just take a look at the recap here. We drafted Sonny Styles at number 12 overall. Then we made a massive trade at number 20. We traded down to number 45 overall. We got 45, 80, 160, and a second-round pick for next year. At 45, we took Akeem Mesidor. At 80, we took Julian Neal. At 112, we took Michael Taft. At 150, we took Nadami Tucker. At 160, we took Cage Casey. At 177, we took Dejon Stribling. At 215, we took Kentrell Bullock. At 221, we took VJ Payne. And at 225, we took Charles Demings. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I see you in the next one.